They said there's no doubt you'll surely lose. Go ahead and sing your tune. We didn't listen, stayed right on the truth. And now we're on the right side of the news.
Good morning. Right side of the news. Nick Gardner, Doug Jenke. We're here. We're proud of it. Go ahead. What's up, Doug? What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I just want the folks to know that Nick has given me secondary credit, and at least on this show, on our other show, Poke the Hornet's Nest, I don't even get credit. So thank you for at least acknowledging my existence, Nick. I really appreciate that.
You know, I remember on Poke the Hornet's Nest at the other radio station, my picture wasn't on the website, but yours was. How'd that work?
Well,
Little
you have a face for radio, dude. That's why, they didn't want people to see what you look like in person.
You think that's funny?
I think it's hilarious.
Come on, tell us about this Alex Petrie.
Geez. You know what?
Alex took a gun to a major disturbance where he knew, in fact, he instigated getting into a fight with the ICE people. And the week before, he had got into a fight with them and got a rib broke. Would you take a gun to something like that?
Well, truth be told,
that is the truth.
No, hold on.
Let's hear your version of it.
Kyle Rittenhouse took an AR-15 to a demonstration. So if we're going to argue one side, you got to argue both.
Okay. Was the demonstrators were they officers of the law?
No, my point
with
being,
Kyle. My point is he went and
you're allowed to lawfully
with
carry, but if you're going to be an agitator, so you're legally allowed to carry. And actually, truth be told.
How did you get over to wash machines and agitators?
Well, you have the rightful ability to carry a gun in the United States.
But you're supposed to use common sense.
Well, you didn't ask me if he had common sense. You didn't ask me. You asked,
I'm sorry,
what do you think?
That should have been my first
Should have been the first question.
I don't think he
had
common sense.
But the point being is the guy was already in trouble a week earlier. It's kind of like the Rodney King thing, The guy was always in trouble. So in this case, the guy got his rib broke, and he went to an event. Now, to be honest with you, if you're going to go to some kind of crazy event where there's going to be agitation, either side, you probably would want to show up with something, because if it gets out of hand, you're going to be the one that's not armed and get your ass kicked, to be blunt. So the fact he took a gun, I don't have necessarily a conflict with. The fact that he went there knowing he was a professional agitator. They're making him out to be something like, oh, he was just no, this guy was an agitator. He went there with the intention of agitating. He went there with the intention of actually interacting with law enforcement.
We have found common ground.
At that juncture, taking a gun to go meet with a cop is not the best strategy, because I have seen a couple different analysis of what different people seem to think, and generally speaking, everybody has come to the same conclusion. First off, the guy got in the middle, and I wish they would actually start leveling. I wish Pam Bondi had a backbone. That's one of the things I have with Trump. He surrounded himself with people who are doing absolutely fuck all.
Yeah, he should take clues from Joe Biden's administration.
Well, I'm just saying, Bondi,
real movers
Patel,
and shakers.
Bongino, they've not done anything. Where's all the indictments we were promised?
They've done nothing, but not enough.
They've done nothing.
I mean, they've done about 1% of what we think.
No, they haven't even done one. I'm going to say
it's
hair on an orange. The point being is, I wish they would just, as soon as these people contact a cop, if that is assault, arrest him and charge him with federal obstruction, arrest him, put him in jail. Then they have to go hire a defense attorney. Those are going to be $10,000, $15,000 on a federal case. Kamala is not going to pay for it like she did back when it was the BLM riots. And give them the Jan 6 treatment. Do exactly to them what they did to us in Jan 6. Basically put them in prison. Don't let their lawyers come in. Hold them indefinitely with no charges except for obstruction. And let's see how much they like it. And until we're willing to do that, this kind of stuff is going to happen. And so they should be arresting each agitator who puts a finger on a cop. That's assault. You and I get stopped on the side of the road, and we go and touch a cop or push him away. I guarantee we're going to go into a body slam, and they're going to be arrested. Those guys are like, I mean, pushing back and forth, spitting, throwing rocks, throwing stuff at them. They should all be arrested immediately. And I guarantee you that those riots will stop immediately. Because if these people are getting arrested and they're having to go hire defense attorneys, there's no way in the world they're going to continue, because their George Soros, lefty, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg supporters are not going to pay for their legal defense. If there's 500 of them arrested at an event, they're just going to go, oh, well, yeah, don't know what to tell you. But because they are doing this, when I see you push a cop, well, that means I can push a cop. But then the person behind me goes, well, I can punch a cop. And that's what happened with this guy, in my opinion, is he knew he was going to agitate, and at that juncture, taking a gun to the riot probably was not a common sense decision, in my opinion.
I'd like to add to that. How much can you torment them cops until they blow? I mean, they've got to have had enough.
Well, you know, part of their training, I have a buddy who was a chip, and I know I have a couple clients who are chips and gone through, and I have a couple friends who are local cops. Part of their training is they go through a pretty intense riot training and on an ongoing basis, where, you know, they go to locations and other cops are protesting, air quotes, and provoking and doing everything else. So they develop a pretty thick skin to a lot of stuff. Now, of course, they're being called killers and everything else and blah, blah. They're human. At the end of the day, they're human. So I don't know what the break point is. I couldn't do their job.
Well, everybody's got a break point, and, you know, some of those agitators, the most of them are middle-aged white women. They've got too much time on their hands.
Well, you know, and get rid of the fact or the idea that these are just average people coming out. They're paid agitators. They know where the money is coming from. They know it's Soros. It's funny. They know
have admitted they're getting paid on a job.
That's what I'm saying. And so
I didn't hear you say that.
We know where the money's at. We know who's fighting. How is George Soros walking around? I don't even. That's one thing. That's one of those things from
Well,
Patel.
now they've got his idiot kid.
Well, I'm saying, but how is
He's married? His idiot kid's married to Uma Abedin.
Oh, that's a great step up right there. My point being is how we know what this guy has done to destabilize our country and other Western countries. We know it. He's not even hiding it. Gates has done a lot. Zuckerberg has supported a lot of causes that are traitorous, in my opinion. How come these people are still walking around? Why are they not indicted and arrested and let them go in court and explain how they funded all of these left-wing agitating groups? BLM, Antifa, these folks now on the ICE folks.
Well, I believe Zuckerberg apologized, so that's okay.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
he said, "I'm
Mark,
sorry."
Yeah. Mark.
I want to be on your team, Trump.
Yeah, as he's had his fingers behind his back and his toes crossed.
Yeah. Oh well.
So, you asked what we're going to talk about. And, you know, again, we always make the joke that we don't have a clue what we're going to talk about when we show up. And that's probably the reason our show is always so back and forth. But I was telling you this story about I have a buddy who we are in a texting battle, I guess is a word. Duel.
You're having a duel.
Well, we're having a conversation via text.
Duel.
We're having a conversation via text. And it's funny, he's just rah, and Trump's doing great this. And I go, well, I would love to agree. I voted for the guy. I would love to agree. But the guy is going to saddle the United States, you and I, and our kids and grandkids with more debt by himself than virtually all of the other presidents put together combined. And he made some comment about NATO. I said, NATO ain't doing crap. His agreement with NATO about they're going to pay their fair share, they don't even have to start paying for 10 years, 2 administrations away. Do you think they're going to honor that commitment? He's reshoring industry. It takes years for a company to find a plot of land, to engineer it, submit it for plans, get the permitting process, and actually begin building something. And then, even then, it will be obsolete for the most part. And 2, we cannot compete with the world. Just let's focus, folks. We cannot compete.
What's the answer?
Well, I'm just saying this as a point of, let's own a business. You and I, Nick, we're going to own a business.
You know, Trump just said he's going to expedite building houses down the Palisades fire.
Getting Trump out of housing. Get him out. He's
What do you
gonna
mean?
he's gonna ruin it. Get him out. Anytime you say the government's here to help and they're gonna help housing, it's gonna get worse. But I'm getting back to you
I'm
and I.
not even calling Trump government. He's a private citizen.
No, yeah. So, anyways, back to my thing. You and I have
we'll let Gavin Newsom run it down.
Well,
there,
Gavin Newsom's,
you know.
he's going to ruin everything. No, but my point being on this reshoring stuff is we get widget stuff. Amazon, whatever, you go into Kmart, Walmart, everything's built in China.
You've got
it's
a
built
collection of widgets?
Well, I do. And
Well, we all have our
every
fetishes.
rainbow color, 'cause I'm supporting my rainbow friends. But the problem is these countries are paying their people $2 a day or $1 an hour. And
That's
we're,
right.
Okay, we're going to reshore to bring this stuff back on, air quotes, the stuff we can. And we're going to be paying our people because the union's going to get involved. Liberal unions are going to get in there, and they're going to be demanding $35 an hour. We cannot compete. It's like when Trump talks about, and so I'm going back and forth with my buddy on this, and I go, and Trump's about shipbuilding. He made the comment something about shipbuilding.
Yep, that's right.
And shipbuilding, we are a lost cause. We're never going to get that back. The Navy has canceled the last 9 ships that they wanted. Cost overruns were in the billions, and on 3 of them in particular, they were already supposed to be delivered. They didn't even get started.
A lot of those.
How are we supposed to compete in the world stage if we are 5-6 times more expensive, and delays and bureaucracy and red tape delay a delivery of something for months or years even? How are we supposed to go out and compete? What would be the best thing Trump would do is get rid of regulations massively so that the things we are good at, we do better than the world, and leave a lot of, get our medicine back on our thing. Let's get medicine back. That's a high pay, high need industry. Let's get our metal work back, because even though metal can be done elsewhere, the problem is as we're finding out, they can shut us off. Mining. Let's get our mining back. Get the permits going so these people can mine on our country, so we're not at the behest of the foreign countries.
That's something Biden was proficient at, was
Yes.
getting mines opened up and drilling going.
Yes. Well, yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that we're just starting to reap the fruits of Biden's energy program to get prices down lower.
Oh, yes. He had such a stellar record on energy that, No. So, when they say that Trump's going to reshore all this stuff, the problem is, even if he does get some of this stuff reshored, the fact of the matter is it's built cheaper and probably better.
No, I'm not going for that, although the quality of American made has gone down. Look at the quality of Japanese made when you go to Harbor Freight.
Well, yeah, it's not great, but most people are not commercial mechanics or professional contractors. So what you buy at Harbor Freight for, $42 versus $280 from a DeWalt, it's not great.
Because they stole the patent
Well,
from DeWalt.
that's a whole nother conversation. Is because America, you know what? We deserve exactly what we're getting. Let's just call it
That's
spade.
absolutely right. We've let them kick us in the teeth and steal from us and just turned our back. Put tariffs on, 250% tariff in Canada for dairy products, and no tariff for whatever they send down here, lumber, whatever.
Yeah.
Yep. We've let them do it.
Well, no, and when you get to China, we deserve exactly the ass kicking we're getting right now, because the West said, you know what, they're a developing country.
But Trump's our only chance of kicking ass back.
Yeah, but the problem is, I'm not sure the way he's doing it is going to
Well,
work.
I've got my hopes up.
Well,
I haven't given up on him yet.
I don't give up hope that we can make change, but the reality is we're going to be decades down the road before any of this actually plays out. And the world will be a different place in decades. I want to see stuff in the next 2 to 5 years. I want to see Obama, all the liberal cabal, the rhino cabal. I want them all arrested. I want them out of the way. I want them gone. I want people having the power again. That's what I want. That's something to be done immediately. Indict these people, arrest them, and make them tell their story in court. And have them have real trials like the Nuremberg rings, so we can see what the heck's going on.
And when they find him guilty, we can send him to Michael Johnson's alternative custody program and rehab him.
Well, even that, apparently, I'm not well versed on what's going on, but I know that apparently the neighborhood where they're planning to do it is getting a little pissed off that they're going to have a center near them.
Kevin Cry had a 2-hour show that you're well aware of, and they covered that really good. I suggested that he do a 10-minute clip just to satisfy or at least inform the neighbors of what is really going to go on. They made some concessions to them, and there's not going to be a jail there. One of the things I saw the neighborhood complaining about is they were going to have this 8 or 10-story jail with guard towers and wire, razor wire around it in people's backyard, and that's just not the case. They're not going to have a jail. We're never going to have a jail, period. Michael Johnson said he'd put up a brick wall. He'd put the orchard between the facility and their neighborhood, that there's going to be a separate entrance. They're not going to let them out on the road that goes into their neighborhood. And I called in and asked him how they were going to transport them back and forth, and he said they're working on that. They're trying to get RABA to put a parking spot there to where they can pull in and drop them off, because that's one weakness in the whole thing. Well, there's a lot of weakness. In fact, I'm not for it, but I am defending it right now. There's nobody spending the night, so evidently the guy that's getting rehabbed has to provide his own transportation to and from the program every day and night.
Let's hope it was not a DUI, because then he can't drive.
Well, yeah. So Johnson said they're wanting to put a terminal there, a bus stop for RABA, and give them vouchers for RABA. You know, I had a friend of mine tell me that instead of having RABA, why didn't we just give them vouchers for the yellow cab? Not just them, but everybody. All the homeless, whoever uses a cab, here's a voucher. Can you imagine how that would help the community? That would create a whole bunch of new jobs.
Well, I was going to say...
They could afford to go down to the food court here, the New Garden Center in downtown Reading.
Well, it's funny when you mentioned that they say there's going to be this 10-story jail and this and that. As you know, I was involved in the shopping center thing back in 2012. And
you know, I was against it.
Yes, you were. And I was for it because of the jobs. It was 100% private finance. But the Churn Creek Bottom Homeowner Association, led by Brenda Haynes, lied through their teeth on all of their advertising.
Mike Warren got in on that. He all of a sudden, he was a defender of them.
They lied. They just lied.
Gentleman rancher type person.
Well, they just lied. They point blank lied, and
he was the manager of the city of Reading. Are you telling me he lied?
I'm saying the Churn Creek Bottom Homeowner Association did the same thing to the shopping center that's being done to the rehab center. They just fabricate crap, and once you fabricate it, the other side, in this case Johnson, has to go around trying to defend something that's not even true. And in the case of the shopping center, they said we were going to empty the Shasta Mall. We were going to do this. I can tell you, I was inside the room. If this thing had been built, there was 5 anchors. It was 100% private.
5 anchors?
5 anchors plus restaurants and small things. But there are going to be 5 anchor stores in the shopping center. 5.
Well, it seems to be growing, because I remember a year after that, you told me there was going to be 1 anchor. You couldn't disclose it. It was Cabela's, and you couldn't disclose that. You did not. And then 2 years later, it was 2 anchors.
No, it was always 5.
And now we're up to 5
it was
anchors.
5 anchors. 5 anchors.
Name them.
Well, the thing is, they had commitment letters. If it was approved, if it was built, they had commitment letters, I think, if I remember correctly, from almost 30 major retailers to come to Reading. But all of them had NDAs at the time that said, well, you can't disclose who it was. And I told them after, in the autopsy of how they lost, they should have said we would be bringing in blank. And in blank, and I can tell you, in that list of 25 to 30 was Nordstrom Rack, Cabela's, who's the other one that's really popular? There was a couple that were really popular at the time. They were on board if the shopping center was going to be built. And I think if had the people known that, the vote would have gone a different way. But Brenda and the group were able to say, oh, they're going to empty the mall and all the restaurants in Reading are going to go to this new shopping center. And none of it was true. There was no discussion with any of the local stores.
You don't think that shopping center would have stole any of the business from Reading?
Oh, of course. Well, it goes to Roseville now. The people who want to go and get stuff, they go to Roseville. They go to the Rack. They go to Nordstrom's.
Restaurants.
They go down there for P.F. Chang's and whatever, okay? They had the traffic counts down. They could tell who was leaving Shasta County and spending money down in Roseville and Sacramento that was not spending money here or going to Reno. And the goal was, if this thing had been built, it would have kept a lot of that money here. All right. So when you talk about this rehab center being accused of making a 10-story thing, I know those tactics well. I mean, I had to go out, and I wasn't even on the shopping center thing. I was on the Measure B.
So what you're saying is Brenda Haynes is running the opposition to the alternative.
I'm not saying that.
custody
No,
program.
I didn't say that. I'm saying
Am
that
I
she.
putting words in your mouth?
So there you go. That's how it works. That you say something, now I got to defend it. No, I don't have any clue what Brenda Haynes is doing today. But back in the day,
She's
she
still
was the
mourning
leader.
Doug LaMalfa.
She was the leader of the Turn Creek Bottom Homeowner Association, and they would just. I mean, one of their last advertisements. Give you how ridiculous it
Well,
was.
she got her payback. She got screwed on the acid canal and getting the boot out of there.
Well, but I mean, the
That
thing
was
is,
just that was karma.
well, and apparently bad. I mean, when you actually look at how poorly acid was run.
That wasn't the issue. The issue was she sold the water rights
Well, I'm
because
saying, but then they discovered
the
in the
water-
process that it was very poorly run and very bad maintenance that might have missed a lot of those problems that developed because of the water cell. So just saying, I don't know what Brenda Haynes is doing today, but in that case, they actually had a pamphlet they sent out showing like an oil refinery being moved down to the shopping center, and we were on the other side.
What?
We were looking at
Oh,
this.
come on.
No, I swear we saw the flyer and it had like an oil, and we're like, that has nothing to do with retail, and yet it went out and it was death and destruction and people are dying. And at that point, public opinion had been pretty much cemented against the shopping center. And if the boys from Hawkins had actually just said, look, we're in direct contact with letters of interest from, and just listen, I'm not naming like who it was. They just go, we have Cabela's, we have Nordstrom Rack, we have this, we have that, we have, go, if we build it, these 30 companies are the ones we will not be poaching from the Shasta County Mall. I think it would have passed.
you'll be poaching their customers.
Well, no, because those customers are already going to Roseville and to Reno.
I'm
They're already
talking
gone.
about the restaurant. You said the Mount Shasta Mall.
Well, no, I'm saying, so that was the whole argument is that, they're already leaving the county. People get in their car every day and drive to Roseville, or they go to Reno for the weekend and they spend their money there. The goal was hopefully to bring it and keep it here. That was the goal.
They go over there and shop as an excuse to go over there and gamble.
Well, yeah, you got to win back what you spend.
That's right.
So, no, back to my buddy and our argument. So we're going back and forth, and he's got TDS the other direction, that Trump's great, and there's a lot of things he has done that are positive. I'd love to say good, but a lot of it's done by executive order. So like Biden proved in the next president, if we don't keep the presidency, the next president can undo everything Trump's done because it's not being done through Congress the right way. It's being done because he's doing executive order.
Just like Joe Biden did.
But
Biden canceled all his executive orders within about 2 hours.
I know.
I remember seeing him sitting there. He said, geez, I don't even know what I'm signing. That's before they greased up the auto pen and got all the rust out of it.
I watched him, and he's sitting there going, this is what Nick must feel like not knowing what he's signing.
Examples.
You wouldn't remember if I gave them to you. So, no, going back and forth with my buddy, and I'm saying, look, yeah, there's great things, but you don't get to add almost $20 trillion to our debt in 8 years and claim that you're building an economy. There's a reason gold's over $5,000 an ounce. There's a reason silver is over $100 an ounce.
What are the reasons?
The world is losing faith in the United States dollar. They are de-dollared.
It didn't just start with Trump. That started 20 years ago.
Yeah, but hold on. You can't say that. When Trump came in, the debt was like $16 trillion. When he left, it was 24. So he has a part in that. We can't sit there and go, he doesn't. He was part of that buildup. Then we had, of course, the Biden debacle.
Yeah, but you know what you got to take into consideration now is all the waste of the money.
Well, that's my point.
I mean, no, that wasn't your point. I didn't hear you mention fraud.
I defer.
Look
My
at how
esteemed
much
colleague.
of our money has gone to fraud.
California leads the way.
Yeah. But
When is anybody going to be indicted?
I said years ago we should be suing the IRS and the government for fraud because they're wasting our taxpayer money. You know, I remember before the 2008 crash, we were all living large. Life was great. And I said, boy, this isn't going to last much longer. They're not going to let us. And look what they've done. They've just knocked us right down to the ground, and they just take more and more and more. I just had to pay $235 to license and smog my 30-year-old work truck. Mm-hmm. What? That's ridiculous.
I have a client who
And
lives
it
in.
just goes on and on and on.
I have a client who lives in Alaska, and he bought a truck. I think 2 years ago. His licensing was $45.
Yeah. Yeah, but Alaska's the biggest welfare state there is.
Well, yeah, because they share the oil.
Well, no, it's not that. They get the biggest share of welfare money, grants, and that kind of stuff.
That's interesting. I don't know that.
Yes.
I know they have an oil fund, and at the end of the year,
Oh, that's a permanent fund, and Sarah Palin set that up.
yeah. So at the end of the year, that fund has X amount of money. That's air quotes profits from the oil companies. It goes in this fund, and if you're an Alaska resident, you got to meet certain conditions. They're not very hard. But if you're an Alaska resident, then they divide that fund by the number of residents, and everybody gets a check from that. So that's how
It
Scandinavia
used to
works.
be about $1,000. I understand the benefit has gone down quite a bit.
Well, because the price of oil is going down
Well,
immensely.
they figured out the government's figured out how to get their greasy hands on it. But I'm talking about money Alaska sent to the feds and money the feds sent back to Alaska. It's something like Alaska gets $7 for every dollar they send.
Wow.
It's the highest welfare state. And I can understand that. That's a cold, miserable place in the wintertime. I was up in Fairbanks, and there's these big vents in the ground around the air base up there. They've got a huge Army air base up there. I don't know if it's Army, but there's a huge air base up there. And they actually have these big vents that come out of the ground warming the place up.
Really?
Oh, it's just phenomenal. It's just unbelievable
Wow.
that they could engineer something like that.
Now, if you have enough money, you can engineer anything.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
I wonder how we're going to warm Greenland.
Well, Alaska, I guess, would be a.
I wonder if we're going to get Greenland. Do we really need Greenland? I think we do. I believe we do.
We
For
don't.
defense.
We don't need it, guys. The systems that Trump keeps talking about, we're going to make the defense stronger. They're already obsolete. The Ukrainian war has proven the future of warfare is not big ships. It's not big planes. It's $200 drones with
Hypersonic missiles.
Well, and if we want to believe what we know now, of course, that Trump is saying that we use high tech, energy directed or direct energy weapons in Venezuela and blah, blah. Okay, whatever. Direct energy weapon is they've had the ones I know of are basically they have these speakers. They're giant speakers, and they can send out a signal so loud and at such a frequency that the people in front of the speaker and very close to it literally can suffer hearing damage. They become incapacitated. Then you got people that are saying that it's direct energy that starts fires, and that's I don't know what they use down there, but I can tell you, Ukraine and Russia have proven tanks are obsolete. Ships,
but
ships
it
are
keeps
obsolete.
the economy going.
Yeah.
We need tanks. We need all this stuff.
I told you about this on our show. The scary thing is I saw a defense
I thought
contractor.
I just made this up, and you told me about it.
Well, no, I'm saying the
Whoa.
defense contractor actually sent out a thing showing the future of warfare, and it was like a C-135 or C-130, I guess, big plane, and it was filled with 10,000 drones, all equipped with bombs, controlled by AI. And the video was actually quite interesting and terrifying. It just basically showed the plane flying and the back opening up, and then 10,000 drones being pushed out the back or sent out the back. And they now have 10,000 direct 100% kill rate direction from an AI. And they're virtually unstoppable. Okay. That's the future of warfare, and that's what we should be working on is how do we stop that? We don't need more ships. We've got,
Well,
13...
I know how to stop that. Shoot the damn airplane down right after it takes off.
Well, there you go. With a hypersonic missile.
There you go.
I agree because if we
Or one
believe...
of them beams they're using for them drug ships or
Well,
those
yeah.
drug boats. What are they using?
Well, they say it's laser.
I just look at it. I don't see a bomb go down there.
Oh,
and all
no,
of a
but
sudden
those
it's
missiles...
Boom!
Well, those missiles come in so fast. They're doing 1,800 miles an hour when they hit the ground. They're doing Mach 2, Mach 3.
In Iraq, they were running out of munitions for the bombs, and they filled them up with cement. It was like a 250-pound bomb they dropped from about 50,000 feet onto a tank. It hit hard.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you look at the meteors that have hit around the world. There was no explosives on them, but their explosive impact from just the impact into the earth was immense. So you don't even need to have a huge amount of detonation to have a lot of destruction. So yeah, so the war, we need to be focusing more on that kind of warfare because we have 13 nuclear powered carriers. I think the rest of the world combined doesn't even have 13. So we don't need more of those. Ships that the Navy's been trying to build have all been basically canceled because they can't build them. By the time they get them through their process, through the red tape, they're already obsolete and they're over budget. So when Trump goes, I'm going to add, and another thing, Trump just added, an extra $600 million to the defense budget just out of the blue. Here's an extra $600 billion. We have no money. We're broke. Where'd that money come from?
Paul Preston has a straight line to President Trump. We ought to contact him and ask him to ask Trump what's going on.
Maybe we can get Trump on our radio show.
I tried to, and Kevin, he was lined up for last week, and Kevin took over that hour.
Yeah, dang it. I'm sorry about that. I knew I was going to listen in if you had old Donnie on your show.
I wouldn't let you ask any questions.
No, I know, because I'd contradict you in front of the president, and then he'd have to, take you out and fire you. That's the worst part. He'd do the apprentice on you.
So they had a protest. I think it was last night or the night before in front of City Hall. It was last night about this Alex Petri that got shot. And, it's a bunch of liberals that don't have anything to do, and they've got the same signs that are at all the other protests. And Timmy Garmin was there.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Yeah, at least he's showing up. I hope he was wearing a rainbow flag and had his hair colored pink.
I think he'd look good with a rainbow haircut.
I'm hoping that he did, because then he could show his true colors. But it just shows you that in Northern California, he even got elected. So that tells you where we're at in Northern California.
Well,
we have been infected by the liberal hive mind.
If the state of Jefferson's state of mind hadn't backed him over Dale Ball, he wouldn't have got elected. So we can thank them for that. Dale Ball would have made a hell of a supervisor.
I think so. Well, Nick, we're down to 4 seconds. I will see you Sunday on Poke the Hornet's Nest.
Okay.
9 to 10.
KQMS, we're there. 9 to 10, yes.
I got to go to work.
We'll finish this argument then.
Yes.
Bye. Thanks for coming in. It was fun today.
I want to take the time to thank the sponsors that help keep our lights on and our partnership with 22 Salute Coffee. They have absolutely amazing coffee. Their bourbon is absolutely the best bourbon I've ever had. It helps keep the lights on here. If you go to Mountaintop Media and purchase, you save 10%, and the rest of the money goes towards helping first responders and veteran suicide prevention. So you're supporting a good cause, you're getting a good product, and you're helping us keep the lights on here, which we have no outside funding, no government funding, no NGO funding, so it really helps us. Jefferson State Diesel, absolutely the best place to take your diesel in. If you have a vehicle with a diesel, they're absolutely the best. Both owners are on site. They support the community. They always are supporting patriots. And there's absolutely nowhere else I would go to take my truck to get worked on and trust them to do a good job and never scam somebody. And they help us keep the lights on here. They're our number one first sponsor that really, really stepped up to the plate. I also want to take the time to give a shout out to Taylor Motors. They are an amazing family. If I was going to go and buy a new vehicle, absolutely, I would go nowhere else other than Taylor Motors. And they also sell used vehicles. So, and if you buy that, it's new to you. And they are actually, they're a top tier sponsor. They really stepped up to the plate. They're always going to fundraisers to support the right people. They're huge supporters of the right people in the community. And they have a lot of integrity, and the family's great. Also, Taylor Collision Center. Hopefully I don't get any accidents, or somebody just actually swiped my wife's vehicle the other day in the parking lot, and they just drove off. And It was a little ding. So I'm not necessarily, I don't know if we're going to take that in, but hopefully nobody bangs my truck up or her vehicle to where we have to take it in there. But if I did, I would absolutely take it to Taylor Collision Center. They have a lot of integrity, very good, honest people, and there's nowhere else I would take my vehicle. Thank you for watching and support the other people in the community that support us.